All right, this video we're going to do right now is actually thinking through another idea for how to build a page and how to work with a template. And it came to us that there may be a way to not really have a template at the page level at all. That what we might be doing is applying some of those rules to the objects as they're dragged onto a page. And essentially, JD called this idea the Lego sheet idea. So JD, tell us what a Lego sheet is and what it means to you this way.
Okay, so instead of a standard set of templates where we have the entire page laid out for you, we have templated segments of the page.
Mm-hmm.
So we could have smaller, here's a box that's this big, here's a big title bar, here's a box that could be used for text or captions or text or images, and there's a little caption box. And instead of having the whole page laid out, we could drag these elements onto a grid and then let the user fill the grid as they please. So we could say, here's a big title box. It fills up however many 6x2 section of space, and they drag another one on here that fills a 3x3, and they can voluntarily leave some space just for aesthetics, and then put a little box there if they want to caption. And instead of being set to a full page layout and giving them a few options, they can just say, all right, new page, here it is, it's fresh, it's blank, arrange it how you please.
So then and I guess this may be a question to you, Francis, but if I'm a user, if I'm sort of choosing the size for an object as I drag it on, am I comfortable with that 2x3, 3x6 type of language to me? Is that, in other words, do I want to sort of show them a grid, let them see these grid lines even?
No.
Or do you take them away?
I think what the user should actually see is this is what we would see in the background, right? This is what we understand it to be. So if this is the screen, you have different assets or different types of assets that you can choose to drag below. So like if this is an image, and this is a text box, and this is video, and so on and so forth. Each of these things will have a default set dimension. So if like a title will have a dimension that takes up the entire width and a small height. What you do is you drag it down here, and it would outline the space that it would take up. And so it would kind of snap into place. And I think that we don't need to necessarily show an entire grid. I don't want to complicate the layout or distract the user from what, I want them to feel creative and inventive. I don't want them to look like they're restricted to a grid.
I wasn't going to show them, big bold blue lines.
Yeah.
I was thinking more along the lines of the Android interface. I don't know if you've seen this. So this is, different objects of different sizes. There is no grid until you go to move it. And then it shows you the grid, and it shows you how things are going to snap into place. And the grid goes away again. Yeah.
You could do that. I mean, so basically you could have that, and so when I hit this, and as soon as I'm holding it and dragging it into an area, you can see all of the different spots,
Yeah.
I guess, that you could possibly snap it into.
That's not going to work.
No?
No.
Why?
Because there's that spot, there's also that spot, and that spot. So they're just going to see a series of horizontal lines.
Okay. So then we shouldn't do that grid, and we should just let them pick where they could put it and let it snap to the next available spot.
But it does have to snap to a grid.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, now, do we need the placement? Let's say there is a grid like this and we have a number of boxes. Do we need the size of those objects as they're appearing on the journal to conform to a block by block size, or will we take any dimension of an object and let them drag it onto the page, but just make sure it snaps to a certain
Visually,
component of the grid?
visually it can be whatever we want, but programmatically it will have a box by box size. So if
Well,
if
what if?
it's,
Okay.
if it's 3x3 some box with rounded corners to the user that doesn't fill up all of the
Mhm.
space. But on the back end, it's going to snap these 4 lines to these 4 lines.
If that's the case, and if that's true, do we then need a utility to size objects before we drag them?
That's where I